Alright, so real quick we wanted to do our first impression of the DJI Phantom 3 Professional, which is their 4K version of the Phantom 3. And again, this is just going to be a quick first impression. We've only flown it about 4 times, 4 battery packs. Through the quad itself, we've only had it for about a week. So this will be a quick first impression. So first off, we're going to start off with overall flight characteristics. Want to tell you that we think that this is much improved over the Phantom 1 and the Phantom 2s. Obviously DJI has updated the flight algorithms a lot. It flies very, very flat and stable, which is awesome for videography and photography for aerial stuff. Also the GPS and the vision positioning system, which is the cameras and whatnot on the bottom of the Phantom 3s right here, really help improve the interior flight. So if you're flying indoors, it is super stable, which is really awesome since obviously GPS is not of much use inside buildings. So that was impressive as well, really like that. Let's talk about Lightbridge, move over to that. As far as the range, excellent range. I typically have only flown about 1 kilometer out maximum. Usually 500 meters to 1 kilometer is all with my standard 5.8 stuff that I've done in all my other quads. I easily was able to surpass that, never once getting any kind of video degradation or signal drops, anything like that at all. I was super impressed with Lightbridge from a range perspective. Again, I was doing my normal stuff around the house, only 4 packs through it, but all around the neighborhoods. You'll see in some of the footage right after this. We've got a lot of power lines and whatnot outside that also could interfere. Everyone has Wi-Fi around here, so we just didn't have any issues at all with the range or the actual video quality from the Lightbridge. Latency, I really didn't have an issue with latency. I did notice it a tiny bit. I'm used to 0 latency standard FPV gear that we've all used for years, either on 5.8 or 1.2 gigahertz spectrums, but I would not say that latency was any of the issue whatsoever with Lightbridge that I experienced. The HD quality of the picture was phenomenal. I was super stoked with seeing stuff in that kind of clarity in HD, and the only thing I would say is that from a Lightbridge perspective, video jitter. So what I found out was that it is not the latency that is the problem with Lightbridge. It's the actual conversion that the iOS or the Android devices must do to show you the video on the camera. So it's taking it from the controller and then it's processing those video frames so you can see it on your device. So I first started trying it out with my Galaxy S5 and I was getting jitter. It was dropping frames. The Android app and the processor inside the Galaxy S5 was not able to process each of the frames fast enough. It was just dropping frames. So you get this jitter, which I think is what a lot of people are equating to latency when they talk about latency and Lightbridge on the Phantom 3s and the DJI Inspire 1. So what I did is I also tried a Samsung Galaxy Tab. A buddy of mine had a Tab, I don't know which version it was, but it's the same thing, getting jitter. I hated it, didn't like it. So I went out and bought a iOS version device, which here is the Apple iPad Mini 2. It's the same as the Mini 3 basically, except you don't have the fingerprint stuff for the security system of the iPad, but everything else is pretty much the same on the iPad 2. Now, with the iPad Mini 2, just connected straight up, night and day over the Android. Night and day. I mean, I can't even tell you, I can't express to you without actually showing. We'll show you different videos later, but this is just a first quick impression. Anyway, Liquid Smooth. Liquid Smooth, jitter, hated it. Liquid Smooth, jitter, hated it. My recommendation would be just pop the extra $279, get one of the iPad Mini 2s, and you should have Liquid Smooth video with very little latency at all, because Lightbridge, I don't think it's a latency problem. It's more of a jitter problem that people are having, and they're equating that to latency. All right, enough about Lightbridge. Works awesome. I was super stoked about it. Oh, one tip. Right here, get yourself a hoodie. This one is by a company called Hoodie Vision. They call it the Pad Hat. The one thing that I noticed immediately, very first flight, I could hardly see the damn screens in the sunlight. Yeah, there was so much glare. It kind of panicked me for a little bit, in the sense that I just spent, $1,300 for the whole rig and setup, and then I couldn't see shit. So went out and got a $29 hoodie for the iPad. Unbelievable difference, no glare, could see everything crystal clear. And coming from goggles, I've always used goggles in the past, this was really concerned me, but go spend the $29, don't even bother flying it without it. I mean, unless you got shade, but perfect after that. All right, let's talk about the gimbal itself. So the gimbal, again, the algorithms based upon all the ZenMuse technology that DJI has had out for years. The gimbal is rock solid. It actually, as everyone knows, that the ZenMuse gimbals are so good that they commonly make up for any kind of lack of flying from us as pilots, or the lack of stability out of the platform itself, high winds, whatever. It does an excellent job, and there's very little to no horizon drift. So everyone knows the old horizon drift issues on a lot of other gimbals and whatnot. As you fly over time or doing pans for a significant time, it starts to do horizon drift. Didn't get any of that. Was super impressed. You'll see that in the videos. The camera itself, the 4K quality is excellent. I love the fact that I can control ISO and shutter speed, which I cannot do on a GoPro 4 Plus Black. So yes, it delivers. It's very awesome to be able to be flying and then change your ISO or your shutter speed while you're flying to kind of compensate for anything that you didn't compensate for when you're on the ground. As you know, when you fly, you might start going into the sun, going away from the sun, going into shadows, etc. You can change that on the fly as you need, right on the app, which was super cool. Controller quality and feel. Let's talk about that. I was worried that I've never had a Phantom before, so I was worried that this was going to feel cheap and cheesy compared to my Futaba's, which I usually fly with. It doesn't. All the controls feel very, very nice. I can get extremely accurate with it. And it's not so much the quality that impressed me, it was what the controller allows you to do with your fingers without ever having to leave your thumbs off of the main flight controls. So with this controller, this is really the secret sauce, in my opinion, to the Phantom and the Inspire ones. Being able to start and stop your videos, being able to take snapshots at a whim, pictures, bam, bam, anytime you want. Being able to change your ISO and shutter speeds just by clicking ISO, bam, 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 clicking again, going to your shutter speeds. That was fantastic. Again, never leaving your flight control, the two main flight controls. Also then, the most important in my opinion is right here. This is how you control your gimbal from a pitch perspective. And let me tell you, being able to, for the first time by myself, a single pilot, not a dual operator like on the Inspire, to be able to do a controlled kind of forward or side-to-side flight at the same time of panning the helicopter with my thumb and working the pitch at the same time, very controlled, very light, gentle. So you get those flat trajectory, panning, and pitching at the same time was fantastic. It's exactly what I was hoping I'd be able to do. And again, it's all because of this controller being laid out the way it is, allows you to do all of that without leaving your fingers or anything from the main flight controls. And you don't have to look anywhere. You're just focused on your view and doing the necessary adjustments as you need with the various controls, all at your fingertips. All right, so that's the secret sauce, in my opinion, to why the Phantom 3 is as good as it is, and which is phenomenal. So I'm going to stop here and say, first impression is it's the real deal. Phantom 3 Pro. I can't say enough about it. I'm going to say that this was the best $1,259 investment I've made in quadcopters in my entire 4 or 5 years of flying. All right, cheers.